All right, so this is the move and scratch from yesterday. We're going to make something for the player to pick up. So right now, if I press the green flag, the ball will move on the WASD. All good. And then we're going to go ahead and create a new sprite for the ball or the player to pick up. All right, so to make a new sprite, you go here to the cat head, choose a sprite. You can also paint your own sprite if you wanted to. We're going to just choose a sprite and pick some sort of pickup. Here you go, Crystal. It doesn't matter. Make it whatever you want. That's kind of small. I like that. So notice when I do a new sprite, I have different code. Like this is the ball's code. This is the crystal's code, right? So let's go ahead and make code for the crystal. See if I can zoom in just a little bit so you can make those blocks a little bigger. There you go. So the first thing I want to do is start with the green flag, right? When the green flag is clicked, do something. There is something in the motion. There's a block in the motion thing that we're going to use is go to random position. So every time I click the green flag, it'll be a new random position on the screen. We're going to use this again. So let's say when we start the game, just go to a random position. And then what we want to do is basically wait until it collides with the ball and then move to another position. That's kind of what we want to do, right? So as the ball, click the green flag as the ball goes here. If it touches this ball, then switch to another position. There's a couple ways we can do that. I think the easiest way to do that is actually going into control. We can either do a repeat and then do it 10 times. So if we wanted to say the game ends when I collect this 10 times. For right now, I'm just going to use forever. So do this forever, basically. You can use different loops. So basically, forever, I want to say, hey, if you're touching this ball, then do something. Okay. We use the if statement. There's actually a couple things we can do here. And I'll show you both of them. We can use an if statement, or we can use a wait until. Both of these will actually work. So we go to, where is it? Sensing. If touching, drag that little diamond block in here. If touching, not mouse pointer, but ball. So if it's touching the ball, what do I want to do? Just go to a random position for right now. So let's see if that works. So you'll see that it's highlighted because it's in that forever loop. It's constantly running that code. If I move the ball over here to the diamond, touch it, moves to a new position. So now every time I touch it, moves to a new position. So maybe you're going to try to collect it 10 times and see how fast it goes. I don't know. Right, so let's make this a little more interesting with a score. We have a variable already. If we go to variables, it's move speed. Let's go ahead and just make a variable called score. We already have move speed up here. Let's go ahead and hide move speed because we don't actually need to see that. So uncheck that. You can actually click and drag this box around. You can actually change it to like different. If you double click, you can change it to different. You can actually cheat, I guess, and do your score up really high. You can change it to different views. I'll just keep it like that. That's fine. So now what I want to do is basically every time I start the game, first I want to actually set my score to 0. You should always reset your variables at the beginning. And then I want to, every time it touches the ball, I want it to change score by 1. Okay, let's see if that works. 2, 1. Okay. Because there is a possibility when it goes to a random position, it's technically back on the ball. I think that's what happened the first time. So there you go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Not a little basic pickup game. There's no end right now. You can have some enemies that are trying to attack them as well as you're trying to pick these things up. We'll do that tomorrow, I think, the enemies. You can also use this wait until. This will work as well. I'll show you how that looks. So wait until touching the ball. And what that'll do is it'll just sit on this line until it's touching the ball. The logic's exactly the same. Works the same way. So it waits until it touches the ball and then does all the code after it and then repeats. I don't really like it that way. I kind of like the if, but however you want to do it. Let's go ahead and also look at sounds. How about we look at that to make it a little more interesting? Sounds. There are a couple sounds. There's a magic spell, which I don't think y'all can hear. And then there's a collect. So you can play it and hear what it sounds like. Let's go ahead and just, when I collect it, let's add a sound. How does that sound? Play sound until done is not what you want. You want to do start sound. And then pick one of them. It doesn't really matter. So now when I do it, y'all can't hear it. It's on my headphones, but cool. All right. So also let's go ahead and look at the background. So right now it's kind of boring. It's just white. We can actually make a little background right next to the sprite list. We have backgrounds or backdrops. Click on that, and then let's pick some sort of background. I have no idea. Stars. There you go. Okay, got a cool background. The thing about the background also, it actually also has code. So if I click on this background, it has its own code as well. It's blocks. You don't have as many blocks because you can't move the stage and you can't do some other things. But let's go ahead and do like a background sound. Okay, so let's say events. When I click this green flag forever, because we want to loop the background music forever. Go to sounds. There's a pop sound, which we don't want. Go down here to choose a sound. Choosing a sound will allow us to pick. There's a bunch of like just one-offs, but if you go to loops, this is where you're going to get your music. So there's a bunch of music things, and you can hover over it and to play some cool. Y'all can't hear this, so I'm just gonna pick one. I don't really care what it is. All right, and then I'm just gonna go back to the code section and do sound. And this one, you're going to do play sound until done, because that's just, you want that to loop over and over again. So now when I click the green flag, I have like a cool music in the background. And then as I collect the things, it plays a little sound. So what we've just done is the sound, which is one whole checkbox, which is 1 point. We've done, it made it look cool with a background. That's probably a point. There's other thing that they want you to do is rename these. So notice when we create these sprites, they just give you the name. We can come up here and name this, since this is the player. Let's call this one player. This one called pickup. I don't know. That's 1 point for just naming all your sprites correctly. So we've got some points just by doing some simple stuff like this. Now your game's going to be different. You're going to have different stuff than what we're doing here. This is just kind of an example. We have if statements. We have loops. We have variables that are named correctly. That kind of cool stuff. All right, so that's kind of how you do pickups. Now, if I wanted to do an enemy, I'm just going to kind of give you hints. See if y'all can figure that out. Let's make an enemy what's something in space? Let's go ahead. We're going to draw our enemy. So we're going to go here. We're going to paint. When you do your enemy, when you draw stuff, you have to make sure this little center thing, it's kind of hard to see, the little target, that's the middle of your sprite. So you need to make the middle of your sprite, like that's where it's going to rotate basically. So you got to make sure that's in the middle. And you can kind of snap things there like that. I'm going to make this a triangle of some sort. So we're like a Space Invader almost thing. Oh, can I delete this point? I think I can delete the point. Delete. There we go. You don't have to do this. You can pick a thing. That's wrong with it. All right, so we'll make this our enemy. I guess enemy should be red, right? I think all enemies in all games are red, basically. to show danger. We'll go ahead and see if we can just delete the outline. Just make it nothing. 0. There we go. All right, so we got a little enemy here. Actually, spoiler alert, you do have to make it face to the right. And let's name this enemy. Again, you can make whatever enemy you want. I'm just messing around with it. So your kind of challenge today, see if you can do this, is have it try to follow the player, and that's it. So what we're going to do is events, green flag. You kind of see a pattern here, right? Everything has to start with an event block. Most of it's like with this. We're going to want to do forever because we want to constantly do something. We can look at point towards. So now if I play the game, you'll see it's constantly pointing towards. Not moving yet, pointing towards. Okay, so some other blocks you might want. Some move blocks, maybe some events like basically just like an if statement, if touching player. What do we want to do? We probably want it to. We can just make it in the game if we want it to. Where we go? That would be in events. Oh, where is it? Here it is. Control. Stop. Okay. So kind of do that. Kind of cool. Okay. You might need some other blocks, but that's kind of the building blocks of what you need for that. So.